All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development Program, and in particular, the AWD1111.NET Framework with Web Databases class, I'm creating a series of video presentations for the textbook that will be used for this class for the fall 2019 semester. That textbook is the one shown on your screen right now, Pro ASP.NET MVC 5. And a press text by Mr. Adam Freeman. And we're working our way through Chapter 16 of 27. And we're up to the resolving the ambiguous controller issue. The author says, okay, so I lied. Areas are not quite as self-contained as they might be. If you navigate to the home index URL, you will see the error shown. We have seen this error before, I believe in the last chapter. So let's come in here, let's run this. Again, we're going to get an error here, so /home/index. All right, and then multiple types error. We've talked about this before. When an area is registered, any routes that it defines are limited to the namespace associated with the area. That's how we were able to request the /admin/home/index and get the home controller class of the URL routes.areas.admin.controllers namespace. However, routes defined in the register routes method are not similarly namespaced. And the author mentions that on the top of page 441, right there. All right. So to resolve this, the author says we have to change it, so we have to change our register routes so that it looks like this. Hopefully, because that register routes, I believe at least, I've kind of screwed it up. What is that? There's my route config. So I'm going to take the entire register routes that's in here and remove it and replace it with the one that's shown here. I'm hoping that's going to clean up the errors that I've been receiving. This change ensures that the controllers in the main project are given priority in resolving requests. However, if you want to give preference to the controllers in the area, you can do that instead. We don't. All right, let me just do a file, save all. Let me run the program again. I want to see if I'm going to get an error message now, or if possibly I've cleaned up that problem. No. All right. But I'm going to try here /admin/index and see if I still get that same problem. No, I don't. I think we need /area/admin/index. Still doesn't find it. All right, again, not sure exactly what the problem is. We can create an area using an attribute, and that is shown on page 442. Right here. All right. I'm just going to leave that one out. Why? Because this is the last lesson on this chapter. I figured that if I have about 5 lessons per chapter, that's still going to be at least a good hour's worth of material. And again, that's probably closer to 2 hours, somewhere in there. I don't know what. But 5 to 6 lessons, and that'll allow me to finish the book at a decent rate and time. You do not need to take any special steps to create links that refer to actions in the same model view controller area that the current request relates to. The MVC framework detects that a request relates to a particular area and ensures that outbound URL generation will find a match only among routes defined for that area. And they give an example on 443. Bottom of the page, routing requests for disk files. Not all requests are for controllers and actions. Most applications need a way to serve content such as images, static HTML files, JavaScript libraries, etc. As a demonstration, the author created a content folder and added a file called staticcontent.html with the content shown on the top of the page here. Let's try to do that again. I would like this to be my last example, or the last presentation for this lesson. So let's see if I close admin. All right. There it is underneath content. All right. So they want us to create a file in here that is just called, I believe it was, what was it, staticcontent.html. Oh, let's see, general. Generic handler. I think it'd be in the general. Of course, I don't see it. Form, scripts, markup, HTML page. staticcontent.html. All right, they want us to replace what's in there with this. Okay. The routing system provides integrated support for serving such content. If we start the application and request the URL /content/staticcontent.xhtml, we should see this line. Well, let's try it. /content/staticcontent.html. Well, I'm having a lot of luck. Unfortunately, all of it's bad. All right. Does not appear to be working. By default, the routing system checks to see if a URL matches a disk file before evaluating the application's routes, which is why I didn't have to add a route to get, okay. All right. On page 445, they talk about how to configure the application server. And they do some work here using IIS. All right. And I'm not sure why I got an error there, but I got an error there. I'm going to skip this next section that's here on configuring the application server and defining the routes. I'm going to jump all the way out to, and I'm going to skip bypassing the route system. I'm going to jump to the end of the chapter, that being page 446. 49 and talk about URL best practices. All right. It says, after all of this, you may be left wondering where to start when designing your own URL schema. You could just accept the default, but there are benefits in basically kind of taking control. In recent years, the design of an application's URLs have been taken increasingly seriously, and a few principles have emerged, such as make your URLs clean and human-friendly. Users notice the URLs in your app. If you do not agree, it says think back to the last time you tried to send someone an Amazon URL that looked like this. It says it's bad enough sending someone such a URL by email, but try reading it over the phone. All right. When I needed to do this recently, I ended up quoting the ISBN number and asked the caller to look it up for themselves. It says rather than this, it would be nice to look it up like this. This is the kind of URL that you could read out over a phone, etc. All right. The note here, to be clear, I have only, he's saying he's not ripping on Amazon. He just is using an example. So here are some design guidelines on the bottom of 449 and going on to 450. Design URLs to describe their content, not the implementation details of the application. Number 2, prefer content titles over ID numbers, which probably would make no sense to an end user. Number 3, do not use file name extensions for HTML pages, but do use them for specialized file types, zip files, different kinds of image files, etc. In other words, only use the ones that probably would be recognizable by an end user. Number 4, on the top of page 450, create a sense of hierarchy. Number 5, be case sensitive. Number 6, avoid symbols, codes, and character sequences. All right, including blanks. Don't use them. All right, number 6, do not change URLs. Broken links equal lost business. When you change URLs, continue to support the URL schema for as long as you can. Finally there, be consistent. Adopt one format across your entire application. URLs should be short, easy to type, hackable, in other words, human editable, and persistent. All right. Get and post. Pick the right one. The rule of thumb is that a get should be used for read-only, while post is used for any operations that could change the application state. I like to define this in database terms, where when you talk about get, it's like a select statement. When you're writing an SQL query, with a select statement, you've got control over what's shown, but you can't change what's shown. On the other hand, a post is more like an insert, an update, or a delete. It is assuming you are changing something. Remember, GET requests are addressable. All the information is contained in the URL. It's possible to bookmark it, but you also want to make sure you don't put anything in there, all right, that you wouldn't want anybody else to see. Do not use GET requests for operations that change state. All right. So in this chapter, as it says, we've tried to show some of the advanced features of the MVC framework routing system. All right. When I come back, we're going to jump into Chapter 17, which is on controllers and actions. I'll be back with that shortly.